Hello, Roadrunner fans. This is JJ Perez from Inside Runner Sports, and you are tuned in to another episode of 13 Questions, where I sit down and talk with different people inside of UTSA and ask them the same 13 questions throughout the 2022 season. I've really enjoyed getting to know some of these players on a more personal level while we record this podcast. It's been pretty interesting to gather the different kind of reactions to the questions. Having a lot of fun doing it. I hope everybody's enjoying this podcast so far. So we are entering week 6 of the 2022 UTSA football season. The Roadrunners are 3-2 overall and are coming off a pretty good showing against Middle Tennessee State over the weekend on the road. UTSA is now 1-0 after that win in Conference USA play. They have another big one this week coming up against Western Kentucky. A big issue the Roadrunners have faced is that, they've had a lot of guys go down with injuries this season. It has kind of been talked at too much, in my opinion, but it's a kind of a great dire issue in some kind of areas, especially when you talk about the offensive line. It seems like, however, this week that a little bit of help is on the way as regular starting right tackle Mekhi Hart was listed on the depth chart for the first time since his week 1 injury against Houston. And Coach Traylor said it was 50-50. He'd be back out there this week, and that a handful of other players were kind of game time decisions this week. So we'll see how that goes for the Roadrunners as they look to start conference play off 2-0. Again, Western Kentucky, 5 p.m. at the Alamo Dome on Saturday. Today on this podcast, we sit down and talk with UTSA wide receiver Decorian JT Clark, one of the big 3 of UTSA's wide receiver group. JT Clark has been kind of emerged as, dare I say, the best wide receiver of that group so far this season. He's put up some big numbers. He's among the top in Conference USA in production and receiving yards. And just overall, UTSA's offense has been tremendous when it comes to the passing. I believe they're number 2 in the nation and in passing offense right now. So we sit down with JT Clark on the 13 Questions podcast. UTSA wide receiver JT Clark, thanks for taking the time today, JT.
No problem.
It's a new podcast I'm starting. It's called 13 Questions. So I'm asking all the UTSA people 13 questions. It's like personal, football, just random stuff. But I'm asking everybody the same 13 questions. So I'm getting to know everybody a little bit differently. So
Cool.
Question number 1, what's your policy on naps?
My policy on naps, what is naps?
So do you like naps? Do you take naps?
Oh, heck, I love naps.
Yeah, yeah.
I love naps. I take them anytime that I can. Probably like after like a late night meal or something like that.
Yeah. What's a good length of nap for you?
Ooh, that's a real good question. I'd say about, you might not call this a nap, but I'll call it a nap. I'm going to say it's like 4 to 5 hours.
Damn, yeah. See, it's rough during the day. Do you get one in during the day or... Nah, that length is going to be...
If I do get it in, it'll be in the training room, but that's when I actually don't have to do anything. And I'm compression sleep or something.
Yeah. Speaking of sleeping, how often do you dream about football? And what was your last football dream about?
My last football dream was actually about a bowl game. It wasn't about this bowl game, but I think it was about a future bowl game.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that would be like a...
Foreshadowing a little bit, right? Yeah. What was it about, or you want to share?
I just know I caught a touchdown and celebrated. So
that's awesome. Thinking about all the people inside of UTSA football, who have you known the longest, and how did you meet them?
Who have I known the longest? Well, it's really been me, Cephas, and Z the whole time. So we've been communicating ever since we first got here. And
since y'all got recruited, right? Probably.
Yeah. And we've been considering ourselves as a trio ever since then. So
how long is that?
Since 2019, so I'm gonna say like 5 years.
Yeah, that's a long time in college years, right? Yeah. You guys have kind of changed a little bit from back then, right?
Like I remember, Cephas barely even growing chin hair and stuff like that, like in Z too. But I mean, like seeing how we all grown up is a blessing.
Question number 4 out of 13. If you could pick one form of social media to use and drop all of the rest, which one would it be and why?
I would say it would be. It would probably be TikTok.
Yeah.
Like now it would be TikTok, but before TikTok it would be Instagram. But like now as a TikTok, the only reason why I chose that was because like they now like have more things to see and everything like that.
Yeah,
and,
a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's like anything you can like find is kind of like Google. You can search it up or hashtag it, and it's right there.
I gotta stay off the TikTok because I'll find myself scrolling for an hour.
Man,
right?
Exactly. Like it keeps you busy.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. Question number 5. Are you a big rap fan? Rappers?
Big rapper fan.
Yeah. What's your go-to music?
I actually listen to everything. Actually,
yeah.
It depends on like how I'm feeling. Like I listen to Seven Nation Army before every game. So yeah, I listen to that. Sometimes I listen to rap, but it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Seven Nation Army, that's pretty good. Question number 6. What is the best way? And this is something I struggle with myself. Okay. So, what's the best way to get out of a conversation with someone who doesn't want to stop talking to you?
With someone who doesn't want to stop talking, I would say, like, let them know like you have something to do.
Yeah.
Like for future reference, like be like, okay, if you like, I think if you know they're about to talk your ear off or something like that, like let them know you have something football obligated. Yeah. So I can use the football obligation as something.
Yeah. Question number 7. This one's a tailor-made question for you. Tell me how you've seen yourself develop as a football player since you got here. Like what are you better at doing now than you maybe weren't when you first got here?
I'm better at learning formations now. I would say when I first got here, with Coach
just kind of
Frank
go
Wilson,
out there, right?
Man, I went out there for my first time with Coach Frank Wilson. I took it off the field. I will never forget that. Yeah. Taking off the field for the wrong formation, he had to call a timeout, and that was the last play that I got that game. So yeah, I will forever remember that. And like now I'm better with formations, better with learning the plays and the schemes and concepts. So yeah,
people don't realize how much like book work and studying the playbook is. Absolutely. Right? Like it's not easy for everybody just to grab it
at all. And it wasn't for me because in high school, it was just a matter of like run a go ball or just a signal.
Yeah.
For what route you run. So yeah, it was a lot of learning for me.
You a big NBA fan?
Oh yeah, actually.
Yeah, who's your NBA GOAT? Kobe, Jordan, or LeBron? LeBron?
Yeah, LeBron is always gonna be my favorite. I mean, that's wherever you go. So,
yeah.
Y'all call me a bandwagon or whatever, but it's just wherever LeBron goes, like that's my guy.
Is that a generational thing with some of the younger guys? Just kind of LeBron because he's the guy now, you know?
I mean, it probably is, but for me, it's not. I like him like not only as a basketball player, but as a person too.
Yeah.
Like, he's a husband. Like he's very loyal to his wife and children and everything like that.
Yeah.
And that's how I plan to be, like
that's
that
awesome.
Father figure for my kids and everything like that in the future.
Awesome. Question number 9. Just with this question, think about like your career in a whole, right? Okay. A genie appears and offers you the chance to go back to the beginning of your career and start all over. You get to keep all the knowledge you've learned to this point. Would you go back and start all over?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you say that?
Because I feel like I would have had not only more playtime, but a better understanding of the game.
Yeah. That's a good answer. I want you to think of, for this one, like movie stars, famous people, anybody. So Coach Traylor, your position coach, Coach Price, and your strength coach, Coach Ryan Philo, they all have to miss a game for whatever reason. You get to pick who their replacement is for this 1 week, but it has to be somebody famous. So who do you pick? Head coach, wide receiver coach, and strength and conditioning. Anybody famous.
Okay, head coach, I say Denzel.
Okay, yeah.
I'll pick Denzel for the head coach. You said strength coach, right?
Yeah.
Strength coach, I would probably pick Brock Lesnar.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Brock Lesnar. Wide receiver coach.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Oh, wide receiver coach. Who would I think would be a good wide receiver coach? I'd probably have to go with Drew Christian.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I noticed he kind of hit you up a little bit on Twitter. What's that been like? What kind of relationship you guys got?
We got a good relationship. I mean, he likes a lot. He likes almost all my pictures on Instagram and everything like that. And I appreciate him for the video that he sent too. It was very nerve-wracking to see, very exciting, and it was just like no other, like a dream come true in a way. So
yeah, that's pretty. I'm a Cowboy fan, so that, I mean, anytime I see it, that's kind of stuff I was like, oh man, that's awesome.
My family is too, so it was hyped.
Yeah, that's awesome. Question number 11. Thinking about your life, just in general, what new habit or recent lifestyle change have you made that you're particularly proud of?
I would say me mentally, like I used to stay in my head a lot and like overthink a lot of things, but now I still think about a lot of things, but I've become more not only more humble but more consistent with being good with it, if that makes sense. And it's better me as a person and how I choose to do
it's hard, like you get in your own head sometimes, and sometimes you're your own worst enemy, right?
Exactly. And I have to think of like the better part of the situation. So
it's awesome. Question number 12. When you think about UTSA football 5 years from now, what are you most optimistic about, and what worries you the most?
I wouldn't say there's anything that worries me, but the only thing that I'm gonna be prepared for is to go to the games, especially like now that they're in a new conference.
Yeah, that's awesome. Last question number 13. What would you tell the younger version of yourself?
The younger version of myself, I would tell them to get more in the books, like yourself, because not only does like athletic and skill get you somewhere, but if anything, your academics and your GPA is very much so the most important thing that can happen to you, and to just stay out of your head.
Yeah, it's hard when you come in as a football player, right? Because you think it's going to be one thing, and then it's completely different, right?
Completely different, yeah.
I always tell kind of the younger guys when they get here, like, these years fly by, and it's like, what would kind of your message be to some of the younger guys coming in? Kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, I honestly just say, like, trust the process, like, and I've trusted the process ever since Coach Traylor got here. He's trusted me, I've trusted him, and the rest of the coaches, and they believed in me. Of course, it was in due time, it was in their time, but it was also in God's time. So just being patient and working hard.
Well, JT, that'll wrap it up. JT Clark on the 13 Questions podcast. Thanks a lot, JT.
Thank you.
All right, JT Clark on the 13 Questions podcast. Appreciate JT for taking the time to do that. We recorded that last week after his radio show appearance on the Jeff Traylor radio show at Chicken and Pickles. So appreciate JT taking the time to do that. He was actually telling me on the way up to record that thing that he was dealing with the stinger with the hip or something. He actually even showed me the video where he took a hit, and man, I mean, he just keeps on rolling, keeps on producing the yards and putting up the big numbers, and just UTSA's offense as a whole, just they're keeping that train moving. It'll be interesting to see if they could keep up that pace. I do think they can. I do think as we get into conference play, you might see some more running production kind of show up like we saw last week at Middle Tennessee. So again, thanks to JT Clark. Some pretty interesting answers there. I think that was the first guy who told us that he would actually go back to the beginning of his career and start over, knowing what he knows now. And that's pretty interesting because he did struggle kind of in the beginning of his career. He talked about, how he ran the route wrong and then was benched. So it's pretty interesting to hear these guys talk about it. And to watch JT mature kind of as a young man too has been pretty awesome to see him, because you come in here, it's a lot, you think things are going to go one way as a young player, and you quickly learn it's almost like a job, and a lot of these guys don't handle it well. And JT's one of the guys that was able to kind of get things right off the field and kind of get his mental game right. And then just, we see how that's translated these last few seasons. So, again, really good conversation there with JT Clark. And I appreciate him taking the time and UTSA setting that up. That'll wrap it up for this week's 13 Questions podcast. Appreciate all you guys listening. If you want to listen to any of the other old podcasts, it is available on every major podcast platform. Just search The IRS Pod, THEIRSPOD, and all the episodes should come up. Again, thanks for listening. We'll get back into this podcast next week with a guest to be determined. See you guys.